here's how to apply for RetroPGF 3. You can find all the timestamps for this video in the description below. So here we have the announcement tweet from Optimism, which came out on September 19th. In this tweet, they have the sign up link. So make sure to go to the official Optimism Twitter account, Optimism FND, and then the website is optimism.io. And to apply, it's app.optimism.io/RetroPGF-signup. So I'm going to go ahead and click the link. This is the landing page here. In this page, there is a link to RetroPGF 3 guidelines. Before applying, I would recommend visiting these guidelines. So let's go to the guidelines. It's a Notion page, and it guides you through what the application will include. It has rules for the application, and down below it has what it will require. So you'll need to have an impact statement, describe your contributions, any contribution links to what you created, the category that your contribution falls in, the impact, and then impact metrics. So make sure to gather all this information before submitting your application. And then lastly, funding. And then there's an FAQ here in the bottom. If you're new to RetroPGF, I would recommend reading the What is RetroPGF post. Here is a landing page for RetroPGF, and they have some of the projects from the last round listed, and you can explore those. Visit their blog post announcing RetroPGF 3. In this post, it explains the categories in a bit more detail. So I recommend going through this announcement post on Mirror. So really quickly, a walkthrough. Sign up goes live between September 19th and October 23rd. Voting goes live from November 6th to December 7th. And the distribution and results will be announced early next year, early 2024. Going back to the application page, I'm going to go ahead and click sign up. I'm going to connect my wallet. I'm using a MetaMask wallet, and then I'm also using a ledger connected to that MetaMask. I'm going to sign in with Ethereum. I'm going to switch networks from Ethereum mainnet to Optimism mainnet. This is a Fire extension. I'm going to sign the request with my Ledger wallet. And a display name, what should we call you? ETH Daily. I'm going to verify with Twitter. I'm going to go ahead and verify with GitHub. I think at least one verification is required, if not both. I'm going to click continue. And again, it's going to have me sign an application. And if you have the Fire extension, it'll walk you through what the transaction is asking. And here it's just paying gas fee. Now we wait for the transaction to go through. And there you go. Complete your profile and fill out the RetroPGF application to participate in round 3. You will be able to make changes to your profile and application until October 23rd. So that's very good to hear. Typically with something like Gitcoin, once you submit your application, it's final. It's good to see that you're able to edit your application. I'm going to start off with completing my profile. I'm going to go ahead and upload a profile picture. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and upload a banner. There you go. Name, website URL, include HTTPS. Profile bio, I wonder if this is the impact statement. But I'll go ahead and I already visited the guide and wrote my application. So I'm going to go ahead and use the first sentence. I can always come back to edit this as long as it's before the deadline. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save Changes. Okay, changes saved. I'm going to click Next. Apply for RetroPGF 3. To apply for RetroPGF 3, you will need to complete your profile, submit an application that describes your contributions and impact to the Optimism Collective. All of the information on the profile will be public. And so let's go ahead and start off with fill out application, project or individual. So the first decision is to decide if you're representing a project or team or if you're representing yourself. I'll go ahead and choose individual for ETH Daily just because it's a one-person project. If there were more members involved, then I would use something like a smart contract address to fill out this application. If I was choosing a project and it had multiple team members. Provide an email address where we can contact you in connection with your grant and KYC process. This is private. Next up, enter a display name. I'll go ahead and choose ETH Daily. And once again, it's asking for the website URL. A short bio. I'll just go ahead and write a collection of news updates from the Optimism ecosystem. All right, collection of news updates from the Optimism ecosystem. It's weird the O splits off there. Gives you a preview of what the badge holders will see. How did he hear? I would say from, say, announcement posts, mirror post. Right, I'm going to go ahead and save this as a draft. I'm gonna click next, impact statement. So it's the first two were descriptions. Now this is an impact statement. Go ahead and paste my impact statement there. So now contribution links. Where can badge holders find out more about your contributions? Examples could be a website, GitHub repository, or on-chain contract. So contribution links. So first I'm going to have a blog post or a blog page. And I'm going to include the description. And now I'm going to add a second link. This is going to be the podcast episodes that contain OP news, description. Okay, that's mainly what I have for now. Impact. So you can choose more than one impact category, but generally speaking, you want to choose one that matches or aligns with your project and that matches the metrics that you have. So going back to the original announcement post to this image, if you see the OP stack, it says level of technical decentralization. If you select governance, it's number of active voters and contributors, the developer ecosystem, number of active builders, and if you select end user experience and adoption, it's number of end users. So you want to select one that you have measurements for and that the measurements align with these. And if you fall in multiple categories, go ahead and select multiple. ETH daily or OP News by ETH daily only qualifies for the end user. So it'll be end user experience and adoption, describe impacts that your contributions have had to the Optimism collective. Go ahead and copy this. Again, recommend going through the guide and writing out your answers. That way you can just breeze through the application. Impact metrics. So number of downloads. I have metrics here. So 39,000 audio downloads. Go ahead and copy the source. So for the source, you see how I have a Google Sheet here. So I created a Google Sheet where I sum up the stats and metrics from the content that I created. So these are all OP News related episodes. There's about 110 of them. And I went ahead and tallied up the audio downloads, YouTube views, and Twitter impressions. So I put this all together on one sheet and linked it to this sheet. That way, if a badge holder wants to verify, they could come to the sheet, and if they need to verify each metric individually, I put even more links here, more links to sources of truth. So I recommend creating something similar. Maybe your project is a little more simple where you can link directly to a contract. But for a podcast, it's hard to display the source of truth. So because all that information is private in an account. So I have 4 core metrics that I'm including. Choose the metrics that are most important to you, that align most, or that choose metrics basically that show your impact to the collective. And again, I'm going to link the same sheet as the source of truth because it lists all the tweets and impression data. Subscribers and followers. And again, linking the same sheet. And then lastly, I guess I'll just choose one of these. Mirror writing NFTs. So there you go. Have 4 metrics: number of audio downloads, number of Twitter impressions, number of followers and subscribers, number of mirror writing NFTs. I'll go ahead and include the podcast NFTs as well. Go ahead and include the term OP. These are on OP mainnet. I think I had roughly 36 of them. Okay, that's all for now. I'm going to go ahead and save draft. Saved. Click next. Grants and funding. I'll go ahead and list information here. Grants and funding. Gitcoin grants, roughly $700. So in here, it says batch holders need to understand how much OP revenue you've already received for your contributions. This allows RetroPGF to fairly compensate impact to the collective. But for the most part, you have to disclose any grants or public funding or revenue that you generate from the project that you're submitting. So it can only contain 80 characters. So I think mostly batch holders just want to know if you've received mostly other Optimism grants. So they have RetroPGF2, RetroPGF1, Partner Fund, Governance Fund, Revenue, which is revenue you make from your project. So I think that's why they ask about funding. So sponsorship, $1,800. That counts as revenue. And then the Cycle 13 growth grant. $500 OP. I'm not exactly sure if it's from the governance fund. I assume so, because it was an OP grant. So I'm just stating tokens were given to our podcast listeners. So this was, I'm just going to include Cycle 13 growth grant. So for us, Optimism had a growth grant category, but all the tokens that you receive, you have to send them to end users to incentivize on-chain usage. So we only have 3 sources of past funding. So go ahead and save this. Saved, click next. Payout address. If you're using a smart contract wallet, double check that the address is valid on OP mainnet. Enter a valid address. I understand that RetroPGF grants must complete KYC within the Optimism Foundation. I understand that any RetroPGF grants must be claimed within a year of the grant date or risk forfeit. I certify that the potential beneficiary is not a citizen or resident of any sanctioned nation. I certify that the potential beneficiary of this grant has not received any sponsorship, assistance, or financial contributions from any government entity. I certify that the potential beneficiary of the grant is not barred from participating in Optimism's grant program under applicable law. So for this, I guess you'll want to decide whether you put a public address or a private address. It's possible it'll be public anyways. It doesn't state it here, but everything is on chain. I'm not sure if they'll link the transfer to you. For now, I'm just going to put my public address. And I'm using an EOA, so it works on Optimism by default. But if you use a safe, make sure you deploy that safe on OP mainnet. We'll go ahead and agree to all the terms. Click next. Submit application. Okay, so you can submit your application now. After you submit, you can continue to edit your application. You will just need to submit it again in order to publish your changes. Your RetroPGF application will be public on your profile when profiles are live in fall. Applications need to be submitted by October 23rd. So great. So it looks like even after we submit it, we can edit. So you can now submit your application. You will need to send a transaction first, the first time you submit. I'll go ahead and click submit application. So you'll have to sign an on-chain transaction on OP mainnet. And there you go. It says your last submission was on September 22nd, and you can view the submission on chain. This is EAS, Ethereum Attestation Service. So it has your info here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I guess maybe right before applications close, you can come back one more time to review, double check everything, and sign another on-chain transaction to make sure your changes are published. You only need to sign another on-chain transaction if you would like to make changes. That's it. Applications close October 23rd. Voting goes live for batch holders and on November 6th. If you have any questions, feel free to join the RetroPGF channel on the Optimism Discord. And that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.